Good afternoon, everybody, and I welcome you all warmly to this panel discussion. We have with us here a team of experts from the industry, and I am humbled to be moderating such erudite individuals. So without further ado, let's jump straight into our first question. So here we go. How would you define a modern digital enterprise? What are the attributes of a truly modern digital enterprise? Vilas, Ravi, Abhinav, over to you, sirs. How would you define a modern digital enterprise? What are the attributes of a truly modern digital enterprise?
Thank you for that question. Gandhi? Okay, great. Thank you for that question. I will give you the attributes, the outcomes, so you can work backwards towards it in your own processes, your own way. But I feel every company is very unique. So if I just give you a definition that might not fit into your company, your culture, the way you run the company. So the attributes, one that we found was a real digital company can do work from home. And that's something that we found out post the pandemic. As Winston Churchill has said that every crisis, don't let it go waste. And that's really helped us to go digital because work from home, you have to be digital. That's the way work from home functions. So that's one of the things that if your employees can work from home, you are one of the attributes you're meeting is digital. The other thing is paperless. You cannot call yourself a modern digital enterprise if you're not paperless. And those are the things that leads to then automation, because if you're doing work from home, you're going paperless, that leads to a lot of automation. So the test, I would say, is work from home. If you're able to pass that test, if you're able to go paperless, you can do automation. Those are the attributes, traits of a modern digital enterprise.
Wonderful. You have touched upon two of my favorite aspects, both related to users and employees who make the enterprise what it is now. Over to you, Ravi sir, or Vilas. What are your thoughts on this, guys?
Yeah, I agree with what Abhinav said. See, past year and a half, the requirement from the user has really, changed our thought process and force us to meet the user requirement wherever they are. So it is not like, users are working from home, but we need and we had enabled them to work from anywhere. It's like, and they should be, available with all the data or information which they need at any point of time. So going digital has really helped many industries to move towards the user's need at the time of a crisis, what everyone has gone through in the past year and a half. And digital transformation is not just, see, there is no start date or end date for this. We had to, whenever you start is the right time, and continue doing different transformations in the areas wherever you feel that you can enable the business and help the industry. Yeah.
Vilas sir?
Yeah.
So while we are waiting for Vilas, so far we have had the user side of things taken care of by Mr. Thakur, and then Ravi sir has briefly touched upon two aspects, if I have to paraphrase it. One is the availability of information to the people so they are empowered. This is not directly related to the users per se, but without this enablement and empowerment, users cannot perform their jobs, and especially in this pandemic era. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yep. Vilas sir, do you have any thoughts to share with us, please?
Okay. I think you are on mute, Vilas. Vilas is on mute.
Okay, so to summarize the first question, of how we would define a digital enterprise and what are the attributes. The key outstanding feature which we heard so far from our speakers is an user experience at the top, and then to enable that to happen, we need to empower the users and give them the tools and data required for them to be able to perform their duties. And we see technology as a vehicle for making that happen for both of these, the user experience as well as the enabling and empowerment. Yep, I see Mr. Vilas sir is with us now. Over to you, sir. Okay. Yep. Moving on. The next question we have is more. Now we are getting into the details. Like so far, we have discussed the top end of the layer, but now we go into the details. How can healthcare and pharma sector enhance customer experience and innovation through adaptive and intelligent solutions? I will repeat. How can healthcare and pharma sector enhance customer experience and innovation through adaptive and intelligent solutions?
Yes, I can take that, Mr. Ganti. So I feel the best customer experience provided so far in the entire ecosystem is Amazon. Right? So I don't think anyone can beat them in customer service, and just so easy, 2 clicks and you're done. Right? So the entire supply chain digitalization and making it fast, if that can be applied in our healthcare industry, which is still not it's not digitalized like what Amazon is. And if you look at, that's the reason of this gap. You have the 1mg, PharmEasy kind of companies coming into it to make the customer experience much more satisfying. So definitely there is the order management part, right? That can really make the customer experience more satisfying. And that's why we have started order management where our customers can place the order online. They can get alerts when same process we have followed as Amazon. So I think, why should you reinvent the wheel? Why should you just think of the whole process again? You know, the Amazon process is beautiful, and we have replicated that in our order management. So the same process, you get an email alert, or when the shipment is sent out, you get an update on the shipment status, etc. So I think the order management process can really increase the customer satisfaction in the supply chain. For us, another thing important is service management, right? So we have a lot of analyzers out in the market, and analyzers require a lot of service compared to a product. So analyzer service management is something that really increases customer satisfaction in our case. And that's, again, we have built a service system for it. So for example, how you have your home appliances service, right? So you get a ticket number, the ticket number is tracked, there's traceability to the ticket number. So these processes are set up and very robust in other industries. We need to adapt them for our industry, for our specifications. So I think order management, service management are two keys to, especially for us in the diagnostics industry, to create higher service delight, I would say.
Completely agree, sir. I will paraphrase that later, but I would also love to listen to what we have from Mr. Sharma. Ravi, sir.
Just to add to that, for the pharma, taking the innovation to that final level, which is the end user, which is consumer, it again passes through the medical doctors. So what we need is that provide the informations through the medical reps to the endpoint doctor, so that the innovation which has helped in the industry can directly go to that individual who can get benefited from that particular medicine. So the pace at which the flow has to take place, this needs some more improvement, because many times what happens is the medical reps who visits the doctors may not have that much bandwidth, because we have seen from past year and a half what happens. many times they don't get even time to meet the doctors. They were not encouraged to meet the doctors. So things were working only through email or through some other mode of communications. So now the things are improving and they are meeting the doctor. So this particular channel needs to be again, pushed so that the actual end user get benefited from that particular medicine, which can really help them.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
There are, if I have to paraphrase what Mr. Sharma and Mr. Thakur have said, they have now shifted focus from one end of the spectrum to the other side. Now they're dealing with the customers. So
Yes.
in the first question, we talked about our employees of the enterprise, and now we're talking about the customers. And I see that, I see where this is going. I believe we are going towards a bridging of these two through technology and overall improving efficiencies of service and the customer delight as well. So do we have Vilas sir yet, Gaston, or should we move on to the next question? Okay, moving. Do we have Vilas sir?
I think not as of now, so you can go ahead.
Okay, moving on. Now this is interesting. What are the keys to build a paperless systems and environments, especially in healthcare and pharma sector? Now, this question has got a few nuances into it. Like when we're talking about paperless systems and environment, we have to be very, very mindful of compliance and quality. So over to you, sirs.
Yes, Mr. Ravi, you can go ahead.
Obviously, in order to achieve the final result, which is a paperless office, it's very important for us to do the digital transformations, without which it's not possible. And if we have to see the proper workflow for different processes. Wherever you have the, right from the order to, the dispatch, the entire process needs in case if it needs to be the paperless, the entire process has to be digitized in such a way that all the compliance part is met, including the quality check of the products which are being dispatched from the factories. Yeah. So because many times what happens is that even if there is a small spillage of or missing of any particular quality check, the product can there can be a cascading effect on the product, due to which this can be pulled back from the market. So in one stage we say that we want to go to the paperless way, but make sure that all the compliance part, all the regulatory requirements are fulfilled during the process of going for a paperless office.
Abhinav, do you have anything to add to this, sir?
So it said what the mind believes, the mind can conceive. So I think the most important thing first is to get the mindset in the organization that yes, it's possible and it's required, right? So in the future, it has to be paperless, right? If you right now you might say that no, it's not going to be paperless, but if you look at 5 years down the line, you will just be surprised that how come we didn't go paperless earlier. So the earlier you go paperless, the better it is, because it increases your efficiency. You can do much more with less. You save time. You don't need to wait for people to be in office to do signatures, right? Digital signatures everywhere. Your workflow happens much faster. In the end, you end up saving so much time, right? So that mindset, the attitude is the most important. Because you might come up with policies, you might come up with SOPs, process flows, but if the mindset is not there, it won't really happen, or you won't be able to drive it through the organization. So the mindset is very important. And the best part, like what I said earlier, is work from home has itself made us way more digital than what we were a year back. And today in our office, we don't have files at all, and all our files have become paperless. So we just realized that you don't really need it anymore. And even the regulation has changed and made things allowed to be paperless now. So I think it's the right time to try paperless going ahead and build the process. Once you have the process in place, then you can go paperless, and always do a pilot. Don't say, okay, I'm going to run paperless throughout the organization. for every product, I'm going to go paperless. Started with one product, with one process, and then scale it up to the next level. So always change the mindset first. So what the mind believes, the mind can conceive, and always do a pilot.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. I will thank you so much. You have again provided deep insight into this. What I heard is on one side, we have Mr. Thakur taking care of organization change management at a very high level and the importance of it, while Mr. Sharma has touched upon a very, very key pillarstone on which the entire pharma industry can be based on. That is the end-to-end traceability of products, and making that as a key business outcome for the question we have in context here. The question was again, how do you go paperless? Yes, going paperless is absolutely important, but we should not lose sight of the end result. What are we trying to achieve, and are we still able to achieve that? So end-to-end traceability of the product as an example, key example for going paperless. And the on the other hand, we have the organization change management involved in making that happen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. That helps a lot. Moving on to the next question. Now, this is a technology question. It's about how will the adoption of cloud technologies in business help the healthcare and pharma sector? I will repeat the question. How will the adoption of cloud technologies in business help the healthcare and pharma sector? What you sirs? I can help set the tone for this, because I believe this question has got a relation to an earlier answer where we talked about the Amazon experience for one, and Mr. Sharma also mentioned something related to provision of services at the right time, at the right people, through the right channels. No more like it has to be just in time. You can't have a non-trained rep going and talking to a highly trained doctor regarding services and so on. So how do you think cloud technologies and adoption of cloud technologies can help us within the pharmaceutical sector?
Yeah. Again, it's like, the availability of the information at the right time to the right people. So once, you have moved something to the cloud, obviously, you know that you can access that from anywhere. That is one thing. And second is, you know that the information which is flowing through is a reliable and it's a secured one. So we have to make sure that we get a secured information, and it should be made available at any point of time to the users. So as I said earlier, if my medical rep is visiting the doctors, see, now their device needs to be connected to that network, internet, that's all. And then from there, he can download all the information, including the brochures of that particular product, and make sure that, the things are available to the person at any time. So one, it helps for the people to project the information at the right time. And second, if it is on the cloud, then you don't have to think about this is for the the backend people who are in IT. They don't have to think about looking at the performance and increasing the resources and all that. You know that once you are on the cloud, you can enhance whenever you want. You can increase the capacity at wherever you want, and make sure that you get the right performance from the particular system which is deployed on the cloud.
Mr. Thakur, thank you.
Cloud technologies has become very robust. So it has been around for a while now, and I feel in today's day and age, if you're not using cloud, you're really doing injustice to your organization. I don't think we can work today without cloud. It's like saying, I don't want to work. I want to work without a smartphone. Right? I want to work with my old phone. So cloud technology is now it has to be, or it already is in some way or another, like maybe in a small manner or a large manner. It's just about how you can increase the footprint, and cloud has to get into everything. Right? So there is no doubt about cloud becoming everything in the future. Like email is now all the part of the communication. Right? We don't send letters anymore. So cloud is going to be everything in the future. One area that has been less explored in cloud, I feel still, which is untapped and has a lot of potential to increase efficiency everywhere, is IoT. Right? So Internet of Things connected to cloud can be used everywhere. So now there's water filters, right? Having cloud technology, air conditioners having IoT technology. And the same way, we can just think of where in healthcare logistics, right, where you need to maintain a cold chain for your product. You can connect it through IoT and know exactly if the temperature of the product has been exposed to, if it's perishable in nature, and it might not work well if it's even exposed by a couple of degrees, couple of hours. So cloud technology can be used there, can be used in manufacturing to know exactly what is output and how long was the machine down, etc. In our case, IoT can be used for our analyzers, right? So we have these analyzers which are sold into clinics, diagnostic chains, hospitals. If the analyzers are down, the testing doesn't happen, right? The patient doesn't get the pathology report. It's very important for the analyzers to be working 24/7. So we have started a project of IoT where we're going to connect the analyzers to the cloud, and we do predictive maintenance. Right now we are doing preventive maintenance. So an engineer goes there when the instrument is down and he tries to repair it, does the breakdown, there's a turnaround time. But if now we'll do IoT and connect the analyzers to the cloud, and we'll do predictive maintenance. So before the analyzer, the instrument becomes down and there's a breakdown, we can predict it, and that will save a lot of time. We can send the spares before the engineer visits the customer, so the time is saved in the courier time of the sending the spare parts. So these are the new opportunities in cloud, I feel, which have to be explored a lot more to increase the efficiency, to do more with less, to add more value to the customer.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Thakur. Mr. Vilas is also here with us. Vilas, sir, would you like to share your opinion on this, please?
Yeah, sure. I think, cloud technologies, I divide it into three parts. One is where, we as usual, we use that infrastructure. And second is the cutting edge tools and application that get available to us. And that to me is very, very important point of view. And third is that to leverage this, how do you take care of your security part? And there is there is a trap that we will get into if we don't take care of these things in a planned manner. So let me cover three parts into separately. One is the infrastructure. It provides huge, huge facility for me to expand as and when I want and how much ever I want. As long as I have a clear business case for justifying that, I'll be able to do that. So what we figured out so far in our experience is that always the cloud acts as a cushion to me, where I tell my business guys that you tell me when do you want, I'm ready for that. It works out a little costlier in the initial stages, but if I look at it in the long run, it is very optimized. And I also have an option to get out of it at any point in time as far as that infrastructure is concerned. This gives me agility, this gives me flexibility, this gives me space to whatever I can expand based on the business application, business need, I can do that. I'll come to the applications. The applications are something where we have a huge amount of wisdom, the knowledge, the experience coming from different companies on cloud. Like for example, whether it is in the area of machine learning, AI, the RPAs or whatever, the applications are coming to me readily with less amount of efforts, and also in a ready-to-use condition in many cases. The third thing that I talked about was security, where we'll have to be extremely careful, and we'll have to understand before adopting the cloud technologies what kind of security the organization is providing, the cloud service provider is providing, and also the contractual obligation that we will be having with the cloud service provider in terms of the security deviations or violations that happen, and the applications which sit on the cloud, which I want to leverage, what kind of application security that these application providers to take care of. We need to understand this carefully before we adopting any of these things, because ultimately when we use these applications, what are we trying to do is that we are also trying to integrate many of our in-house applications which are sitting in my data center with them. And it's like, the security, when we talk of the any multiplication, we do 0.92 into 0.92. It is not really 0.92 or 0.93 or 0.91. It will become, very less. So if there is a cloud service provider is having certain amount of vulnerabilities, and the application also has vulnerabilities, whatever percentage it may be 1%, but still when I talk of 0.99 into 0.99, then my vulnerability goes up very high. So we need to be very careful about that. And also, if I am into a business of providing these services to any of my customers, being in the regulated industry, our customers do ask for the certification that we may be in that the cloud service providers have. So when we are looking for such kind of applications and adoption, we need to be careful about that. I think these are three parts that I wanted to share when it comes to the cloud technologies. Otherwise, of course, the cloud is a great tool for CIO, great tool for the organization because of the obvious advantages that many speakers have spoken about.
Wonderful. If I have to summarize, thank you so much, Mr. Vilas. If I have to summarize the answer for this question from all of our speakers over here, they have touched upon the scalability, the performance, the flexibility, and faster time to value, and all of these without having to compromise on the security aspect, given the pharmaceutical sector is a highly regulated sector across the world. Moving on to the next question, gentlemen. What are the benefits of employing advanced technologies like AI, ML to boost efficiency in drug discovery? Okay, this is a good one. I'll repeat my question once more. What are the benefits of employing advanced technologies like AI and ML, artificial intelligence and machine learning, to boost efficiency in drug discovery? Over to you, gentlemen. Vilas sir, would you like to go first now? Or maybe Mr. Sharma?
Yeah, definitely these applications will give a boost for any new development, and these drug development will help it to reduce the, because for any drug development there is a life cycle for the development time plus the regulatory approvals. We have already seen and encountered that how fast we got this regulatory approval, even if it is an emergency use for the corona vaccines. Okay, so all this has really helped. So these technology definitely will help to reduce that cycle, plus reduce that approval cycle, so that the drug can be deployed in the market at a much faster rate than what used to be in earlier situations.
Absolutely. Mr. Thakur, do you have anything to share here, sir?
I'll put it from another perspective, since I'm from the healthcare industry, the diagnostics industry, and not the pharmaceutical. So in our case, again, the analyzers, which I was talking about, the instruments, right? So we can do AI and ML to find out what is causing the breakdown, what are the common breakdowns, how can they be prevented. That'll increase customer delight, and it'll help the customer to give the patient reports on time, to give the correct patient reports. So it has a lot of power in that area in our industry.
Wonderful. Do we have Mr. Vilas here with us? Vilas, do you have anything to share here, sir? Okay, I do have a little bit of information which I would like to share, but first, thank you, Mr. Sharma and Mr. Thakur. It's extremely important to understand how technology can enable drug discovery, especially within the current times of the pandemic, like getting a vaccine earlier. I know it used to be a 10-year process before, where you could actually get the vaccine into the market to the end users, actual consumers. But now that process has been shrunk, and we now have 4 or 5 different vaccines which are approved and accredited by WHO already.
Yes. Yes.
There are 2 key factors within this which I believe technology can enable. One is the CSV validation process for the drug by the various accrediting agencies like WHO or the local national accreditation bodies within the respective countries. Okay, this brings to me that we in NTT, we have our own internal IP. We have a product called IT.Lifesciences, which can accelerate and help your SAP landscape in the drug discovery process from a technology perspective. I would not like to go into the details right now. It is just something which I got reminded of while discussing this question. And now we will move on to the next question, gentlemen. Okay, this one is very close to my heart. It is regarding security. Since data security is a prime concern, how can the healthcare and pharma sector improve performance with the cloud for critical applications and data? So I will repeat the question again. Cybersecurity is an all-encompassing topic, but we're just talking about the data security here. Since data security is a prime concern, how can the healthcare and pharma sector improve performance with the cloud for critical applications and data? Ravi sir, you want to go first?
Yeah. If you see, last 1 year, about 70% of pharma industries were, attacked by the ransomware attack. Okay, so all these are possible only because at any point of time, I think we have closed all possible doors, but somewhere I think those industries have left one window open for the attacker to come inside. What we need to do is we need to have a periodical check for our system in such a way that we know that all possible things are blocked at the right stage. And this is possible only if we do have a provision or the process by which we do the periodic check of our system to make sure that they are taken care of from all sorts of intrusions. Plus we do the monitoring of the logs which we have, because our firewall system gives a lot of logs. So we do the monitoring of those logs and ensure that the right decisions are taken at their right time to avoid all these intrusions. See, that doesn't mean that my system will be 100% safe. There's nothing like 100% safe. But only thing is I can go to some extent to make sure that I have some leeway by which I can protect the data, user data. And of course, I increase my, the backup provision in such a way that even if my data, somewhere the data is lost, I should be able to provide the data from my backup systems. But user data from a health point of view, healthcare industry point of view is very, very vital. Please note, this is nothing but a crown jewel for the industry. Industry will lose its existence if the data is lost. They may not be able to function from tomorrow if their data is lost to some third party, and we are not able to execute the things the way we were executing yesterday. So this is a very, very prime concern. Some of the points were already pointed out by Vilas sir, that we have to make sure that there are proper compliance from the application perspective. Second is from the cloud perspective, the vendor where we are going to host our applications. And the data is taken care of at both the ends. Yeah.
So Thakur, you have anything to add over here, sir?
In our case, we are not into drug discovery, so our data more we are looking at is keeping it secure and from ransomware and mainly from ransomware. So for us, when we had our data on our server, we had a tough time, right? We had to get our own firewalls, get them renewed, and keep updating them. But now we moved our data to the cloud, and I find it much safer. At least I feel it's more safer because they have the most updated firewalls and they have their security protocols. One way that I think is a good way to make a decision is to check if the service provider has the standards or the certification. Like in Europe, you have standards right now which are in place for data security. So if they have those standards in place, they have the certification, so that can give you some peace of mind that yes, they are following the right process, have the data security, or to protect you from ransomware. So I feel standards is something you should look for from any of your supplier who is holding your data. And there are multiple standards, like the European Union has a standard, and then there's an ISO standard also that is followed.
Wonderful. Do we have Mr. Vilas sir here? Vilas, are you there? Would you like to add to this, sir?
So I think he's having trouble with joining in.
Oh, we can hear you now, Mr. Vilas, if you would like to share.
No, that was me. This is Gaston. I think Vilas is having some trouble with the bandwidth.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. So to paraphrase what we have heard so far, I mean, the security aspect, irrespective of the industry, is always a concern, and organizations have to be at the cutting edge to protect themselves. Now, the topics which Mr. Abhinav and Ravi have touched up right now remind me about the latest in the enterprise security architecture, which is called the Zero Trust architecture. Okay, Zero Trust architecture in a single sentence says, by default, if anyone is coming into my system, I will not trust them. I will establish full trust before I let them do anything at all in my system. That is a Zero Trust architecture, which is, I believe, worthwhile architecture which organizations could look into. And in this aspect, SAP has come out with a product called the Data Custodian, SAP Data Custodian. It is being rolled out as we speak, mostly in North America and also some countries of Europe, because we are a global organization entity and we work very closely with SAP. We are closely associated with how this product rollout is happening, right? So with that piece of information, let us move on to the next question. How can the healthcare and pharma sector build on sustainability with end-to-end support? I'll repeat the question. How can the healthcare and pharma sector build on sustainability with end-to-end support? Over to you, sirs. Abhinav, you want to go first with this, sir?
I feel your system should be support-free, right? So you should build the system so that in the future it doesn't require support and it's robust enough to work, for the years to come, so that the future employees or the future stakeholders don't have to end up paying for the mistakes or paying for wrong architecture or wrong processes which were built early on. So when you're building a system, just think of how it can be sustainable and audit-proof, right? And will not require any basic architectural changes. So it becomes sustainable for years. It can just be advanced or add more features, but will not need architectural changes. So this will make it sustainable so that even the future employees, the future team, the future stakeholders come in, they just plug and play and they can just go ahead.
Over to you, sir, Mr. Sharma.
Yeah, to add to that, I think we have to make the process as a self-learning process. So make sure that the things are available to the people who are, going to come or who are part of the process, to design in such a way that whoever new person joins in, he can have a self-learning exercise and make sure that he is on the go right from the day one.
Wonderful. Now, when I hear you, sirs, one on the people side of things, and then the other one from the manufacturing. The way I look at it when we're talking about sustainability is we have already covered a few topics on that when we spoke about paperless thing.
Yes.
Now, I believe sustainability, I mean, it's a personal opinion of mine. Sustainability, when you talk of it, the thing I can visualize is a manufacturing process which is completely efficient. Okay, and Abhinav has already talked to how they're doing preventive maintenance through AI and ML already. Okay, so there we are becoming more efficient in our business as usual from a manufacturing perspective. Likewise, waste management, dangerous chemicals management, and so on, and technology, especially within the core offering of SAP S/4HANA, has done lots of enhancements, or they have come a long way compared to what we knew about SAP in a traditional way 10 years ago. So, yep, that is sustainability from healthcare and pharma, from a manufacturing perspective, from a people perspective, that is well addressed. So we will now go to some of the questions from the audience, gentlemen. Okay, the first one is an interesting one here. What are the keys to drive innovation with reduced data footprint? I will repeat it. What are the keys to drive innovation with reduced data footprint?
Reduced data footprint.
Yep.
So I would say automation, right? So wherever you can look at automation, so that can reduce your needs for like data that you need to transfer somewhere and print it out. And just think about print is not an option. If you just think like in the future, printing will not be an option, right? Then how do you do it, right? So just think of it like that, and then you will come up with a solution automatically. You think of the end goal, and then you work backwards.
Right.
Ravi, sir?
Yeah, I totally agree with Abhinav. We have to think the process as a seamless integrations from start to end, where the data flows without any hurdles or without any barriers. Yeah.
Okay, I absolutely love it when interacting with gentlemen such as yourselves, because you have the 20,000 feet view of the end-to-end process, and you're also diving down to say how exactly we can help achieve it at, say, 1,000 level feet, 1,000 level height, or even grassroots level. Okay, if you look at the data life cycle in any organization, right from the data capture to the transformation and at the consumption, all of these needs to be optimized. Okay, that brings me to our next question, gentlemen, from the audience. We have, what are the challenges faced while ensuring data is secured, and what are the steps to overcome the same? I'll repeat the question. What are the challenges faced while ensuring data is secured, and what are the steps to overcome the same?
Yes, Mr. Ravi, you can go ahead.
Yeah, actually, it's very difficult to say that my data is 100% secure, as I said in the earlier discussion. So there is nothing like 100% secure. The only thing is you have to build in the security into the system so that you have some comfort level. And you can say that, yes, we have deployed these solutions, and there are very less chances that my data will be secure. Okay, in order to have that, there are a lot of you have to have the intrusion prevention system, intrusion detection system. They are called IPS and IDS. Then have a firewall, right up to the 4th generation firewalls. Ensure that the detection happens at the right time. See, there is a statistics that in case if my system is hacked, I will come to know only when it is somewhere around 80 or 90 days later. I will not come to know immediately. So there is always a lead time. So what we need is, we need to have the early detections so that the appropriate action can be taken.
Thakur sir?
Yes.
Over to you, sir.
fortunately, we have not had major data issues. The ones which come to top of my head, it was once we had a ransomware on a server when we had a physical server. It was attacked, and once our website was attacked, and it changed into some characters. So these are the two experiences. So out of this, I found that once we shifted our data on the cloud, it helps because the people on the cloud have way advanced, latest firewalls, better security systems. So now we don't even think of our server data getting ransomware, etc. And on the website again, we told our person who was posting it to put on firewalls, etc., to protect the website. So I think again you have to depend on a lot of people outside the company, right? Your suppliers who are providing you solutions, and you discuss with them if they're meeting those standards, right? There are very fixed standards on cybersecurity, right? As a layman, I'll just ask, okay, are you meeting the European Union standard, or are you meeting the ISO standards for cybersecurity? I'm not aware of any Indian standards, but I think you might throw some more light on that if there are any Indian standards on this.
Okay. I am more closely, my experience in the past has been with the NIST, which is followed by the US and US defense organizations. A long time back, I was working in the US, and I had the pleasure of working in the US defense as well, defense associated organization. So I can take NIST as an example. But having said that, gentlemen, like you have really given pause. Like this reminds me what you both have told me reminds me of two of my favorite maxims. One is prepare for the worst, hope for the best. And then there's another guy who I forgot the name, who said that there are only two kinds of systems in the world: those that have already been hacked, and those that are waiting to be hacked.
Or the third one is those who don't know whether they are hacked.
Yeah. Okay. It's sort of question of if it is when. Wonderful.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So now on this, I have one observation to make, which I want to share with all of us over here, which is when we talk about security, enterprise security, I believe that this is something which should be driven by the business. And then you might immediately ask me how and why. So each business, they should define the amount of risk they're willing to absorb. You define your risk appetite first, and based on that risk appetite, we have to define the rest of the enterprise security strategy and say, this is how I want to do things. So when business drives the enterprise security, like the chances, the probability of having a breach that hurts the business or the bottom value of the business are much, much lesser.
Yes.
Okay. So with your permission, I'll move on to the last question, which is, yeah, this is a good one. How can the pharma sector optimize benefits of innovation while building an intelligent and adaptive process? How can the pharma sector optimize benefits of innovation while building an intelligent and adaptive process? Over to you, sirs, or would you want me to have a first go at this?
Yes, you can take the first go for this one.
Okay. Now, this question reminded me of a recent engagement of us in the Asia Pac, where the customer problem was very simple. They are a manufacturer of dangerous drugs, and they said, we want to have end-to-end traceability of the dangerous drug, right from a factory to the people who prescribe and give them to patients, to the actual patients who consume them. So we now have different aspects coming in over here. So from a process perspective, we said, okay, you have your hospital management systems, you have your clinical management systems, you have your ERP, and your entire manufacturing out there is compliant. Now, their only problem is that the end users should not abuse this consumption of dangerous drugs. Are you with me so far?
Yes.
So what we have done is we said, okay, first thing is we're going to have the we divided the consumers into two parts. One are the actual doctors, the pharmaceuticals and pharmacy professionals who are allowed to dispense these drugs through prescription, and then the actual consumers of the drugs. So we said we are going to have to secure information of all of these to say, once I have my batch traced product into these three guys, the hospitals, the clinics, and the pharmacies, now how are they being dispensed to the consumers? So the first thing is to be able to get consumer data with consent management. Consent management is the key over here. So if I am the recipient of such a dangerous drug, and if Gaston is my doctor, before Gaston prescribes and gives me that medication, he needs to get the consent from me, capture my data, and he will allocate a specific batch ID strip of say 10 capsules to me for consumption. And this is visible across all the network of the clinics, the pharmacies, and all that information has to be shared and in a central location to be accessed by anybody. So today I go to Gaston, and tomorrow I should not be able to go to Dr. Thakur and get another prescription, right? So for that we have prescribed a solution based on SAP's customer data cloud in conjunction with the customer C4C sales cloud and the service cloud and the e-commerce platform on SAP Hybris. So that is how we have designed an end-to-end solution. Now, this is something which we have designed it to be repeatable. So once this group of pharmacies and clinics adopts it, it can then be monetized by them to license other groups of hospitals and pharmacies to join their thing as well. So this is how I potentially see on the consumer spectrum a way to innovatively design an intelligent, adaptive, and a repeatable process. Any thoughts on that, sirs? Ravi?
Yeah,
Abhinav?
I think you have covered most of the things for an adaptive process. So I think I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Wonderful. Then moving on, do we have any questions any other questions from the audience here, Shreya? Or are we ready to hand over to Gaston?
So we don't have any other questions.
Wonderful, wonderful. So before I hand over to Gaston, Ravi, Abhinav, and Vilas, thank you so much, sirs. It's been a pleasure interacting with you today, and we look forward to seeing you again, interacting with you again at some future point of time. Gaston, thank you and your team for making this happen. Gaston, over to you, sir.